Listening to the Banríon show on ITV.ie and Irish
So I'm going to run
Radio.
through what's been happening fairly quickly today, as I spent the day in Dublin Airport waiting for a flight that didn't have enough fuel, so it had to be redirected to Belfast because a drone was sighted in Dublin on an airfield. So they didn't tell anybody, so we waited there and we had to read it on Twitter that there was a drone in Dublin Airport. So I spent 3 hours waiting for this flight to land, which had to go to Belfast and then redirect to be fueled and then back to Dublin. So we'll go through what's been happening. Like this fake Taoiseach, he just gets worse. I really cannot stand him. As we, the Irish people, know what evictions are, like our ancestors were suffered at the hands of the British elite and the absentee landlords. So now we're in the same situation with this fake government. As he goes into the Dáil and he says only 400 eviction orders were executed last year. Only 400. That's 400 Irish families. That is 400 Irish families. And this is why he has no empathy for the Irish. This shows his true colours. He is not Irish. He may only have half Irish blood, but he really has no Irish empathy or no Irish love for the people of Ireland. 400 families kicked out of their homes for banks, and he supports and says only 400 of them. Absolutely disgraced, because he brought in an eviction bill, him and Michael D. Higgins, who people voted in another 7 years after he signed in an eviction bill that would put Irish people on the streets. This is why we're in this state. You people, wake up. We have a fake government. Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Sinn Féin, People for Profit are not for Irish people. They're for immigrants, bringing them in and giving them Irish homes while the Irish are dying on the streets. Barely a word. If they were Africans or Muslims who are dying on the streets, there'd be uproar. But because they're Irish, they're allowed 400 evictions last year. He says only 400 Irish families kicked out of their homes. This is not good enough, people. Absolutely not good enough. It's a disgrace. Because, he should be taken out. We should be demanding that he gets kicked out of his home. And then we can say only the Taoiseach got kicked out of his home. We should demand him and Michael Higgins get absolutely taken out of their homes. Put the Irish homeless in their bloody homes. Absolutely turns my stomach. It's a disgusting comment. Only 400 families kicked out of their homes. Absolute disgrace. My stomach just turns with this when I read it. Really annoys me. We go on to France. Schools now in France are no longer allowed to put mother or father on forms, which is such stupidity. This leftist scum just doesn't stop. This is just stupid. It has to be parent 1, parent 2. Ugh, ridiculous kind of crap going on. Our defence forces are asking for money. The amount of homeless in the defence forces are rising to a shocking level that they're out really pleading to try and get them homes. Absolutely. It's a third world country, yet we're taking in people third world and giving them homes, giving them money, giving our tax monies and sending off millions to foreign aid while Irish people die in the streets and get kicked out of their homes. This is disgrace. And our hospitals are in a mess. Our nurses can't get paid properly. Cervical cancers, women die of cervical cancer, and we're supposed to be a first world country. We're a joke. We're taking in third world, giving them everything, while the Irish pay for everything but get nothing in return. Our own people are not welcome in Ireland by the Taoiseach and the rest of the fake government. It is a disgrace. Where places like Hungary, a fantastic leader, he's giving tax breaks for mothers who have more than 4 children, Because the rest of the EU, our replacement rate is much higher. All countries in the EU are replacement rate. So within a few years, there'll be no such thing as Indigenous Irish. Every Tom, Dick and Harry will be able to call themselves Irish with no Irish blood. The Indigenous Irish will be gone, a thing of the past. We're living in the days where we're seeing the end of Ireland, and you're not doing anything. You're allowing them die in streets. You're allowing them die in hospital beds. You're allowing them being evicted. 400 families being evicted. And so-called T-shirt says only 400 families. As if there was something to be proud of. It's absolutely shocking. Really, really bloody disgrace. As England moves on, the UK moves on from bringing out from power from Brussels back into Parliament in England. So they're quite happy with things that we're going. Power is returning to United Kingdom. So the EU know and now admit that a no deal will cause a terrible economic and social consequences. So they're really getting afraid now, and it's about time, because they spent the whole time in 2 years, instead of giving England a deal, the UK a deal that would be bearable, they've gone on with bullying, bribery, blackmail tactics. Well, not even bribery, that wouldn't even be so bad. It was bullying and blackmail tactics with the British. That was never going to work. And even now they're kind of going consequences to the British. Like even now at the last hour, you think that they know that it's going to be a serious downfall for them, which is fantastic for the rest, because I think it's the best thing that happens. The EU project falls apart because it's not about the EU. These countries that they're bringing into Europe are destroying Europe. They're not European countries. They're from North Africa and Islamic countries. There's nothing to do with Europe. These people that they're bringing in have nothing to do with Europe. And this European project is nothing but a destruction of Europe. That's what it's all about. Each and every country and culture is being destroyed. And a few countries in Eastern Europe have the brains to see it. Hungary and a few other Eastern Europeans, Poland, countries have enough brains to see what's going on, where the west of Europe have no idea or don't actually care. They're being more interested in their money in Brussels than the destruction of their country. And that's the truth. These people that have been brought into Europe have nothing to do with Europe. They're North Africans and Asians. It's nothing to do with Europe. That is not what this bullshit project was supposed to be about. And it's not fair. Because as Eastern Europeans come into Ireland and different countries, they work their arses off and they pay their taxes and do everything else. While Africans come in and get houses, while everybody else have to pay for this. This is not right. Under bullshit refugees scam, and none of them are refugees, they're all economic migrants. It's complete lies. Lies after lies is all the EU is. And the best thing is that it does dissolve. Because it's a mess. Whether it starts off again, but what it is now is a mess. The UK fight back and say unless there is illegal changes to the Irish border to win the support of the MPs, that this will be a no deal. The English are not biting. But you know what? They don't even have to bite, because, as I've said on many, many occasions, the freedom of movement between the United Kingdom and Ireland has already been, is way predates the EU and the EEC. So they don't even need to fight for that. They can go through their old agreements from 1949, which were at the time they called AIR for the Irish, and that Ireland would never be treated as a foreign country. They have many agreements with us. So that way predates any of the EU or the EEC. There's one from 1922. So there is other ones, and the British fully well know that. So they don't need to be blackmailed. But they're trying to get the EU to do half a deal. And what's going on now is that is not a deal what the EU are ordering. And the Irish government is backing Brussels, trying to break the British to stay in. This is not about the Irish border, because it is not the British who are insisting on the border. It is Brussels. And Brussels are trying to break Britain. And that's what it's about. And the Irish are being constantly lied to stir up a civil war for the EU with the Irish backing, which is pretty shocking. The Irish government backing. Sorry, not the Irish backing. Most of the Irish are asleep and believing that it is the British who want the border. It's shocking, shocking days. And Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Sinn Féin, People for Profit and all the main parties have an awful lot to answer for. 400 Irish families set in the streets. And he's the gall to walk in and say only 400 Irish families. Absolutely a shock. Absolutely a shocking statement to me. Really shocking. Thank you very much for listening on the Banríon Show and ITV.ie and Irish News Radio. And I'll speak to you tomorrow.
You are listening to Irish News Radio at irishnews.net. Email news@irishnews.net.